Welcome to episode 17 of the Beyond the Cubicle podcast. Man, can you believe we made it 17 episodes already?
Man, looks good.
Today's topic is all about motivation. Motivation. I could probably say it 2 or 3 more times. Motivation.
Why are you doing what you're doing?
Why are you doing what you're doing? And also, it's about drive. Are you internally motivated, or do you always need somebody in your ear?
Oh, ain't that like having a boss over your shoulders all the time telling you what to do?
Right.
And you got to hear that mess because you ain't getting it done.
That's right. So, sit back, grab some pen and some paper as always. But first, the intro. It's episode 17. Talking about motivation today. But first, let's do a little housekeeping. Social media. You want to come connect with us? We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I think that's it. At This Is BTC. If you have a question, comments, you have a story you want to share, you have some advice that you need on a particular situation of some sort, hit us up at the email podbtc@gmail.com.
We got some viewer email too, man.
Yes, that's it. We're going to get right into that in our mailbag section in a second. As always, want to give a shout out to my hometown, Greenville, Mississippi, who is streaming the show live on Thursdays at 5 p.m.
All right, Greenville.
That's it. You can go to our social media and see exactly where to pick that up. All right, let's jump right into the mailbag section. It's our first mailbag of the show.
Yes.
I'm
excited. This is a good one too, man. It says, "Dear Beyond the Cubicle, I am a hard worker and I do all the things asked of me. I want to get promoted. What do I need to do?"
Hey.
CJ.
Hey. This is what we talk about all the time on this show.
Yeah.
And before we answer the question, if this is your first time listening, let me just say, this show is dedicated to this exact question.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In so many ways, right?
This is it.
But this show is dedicated to helping you navigate the waters of the career of the corporate landscape. Right?
Absolutely. If you got a job, we want to help you get the most out of the job, get more peace on your job, get paid more.
Yeah. And we do that by talking incessantly about 2 things.
The way you think or mindset.
Yep.
Y'all pick up a thesaurus if you want to figure out what mindset is.
Right.
But it's how you think.
Right.
And
action.
What you do.
What you do.
That's it.
And we facilitate that through a 4-letter acronym called PIES.
PIES.
Real quick, P is for?
It's for performance. You got to bring some to get some.
I is for?
It's for image. Your image has to match your organization.
E is for?
Exposure. Who knows you and who knows you positively.
And S?
Spirituality. If you don't have that, the rest of it don't matter.
Now, what great knowledge do we have for our listener that posed such a wonderful question?
In order to get promoted, here's the thing. You notice the first thing she said was, I do everything asked of me.
Right.
Okay, that is great. That's a baseline. But that's not enough to get you promoted.
No, it's not.
People get promoted in organizations because somebody somewhere impresses them. And the best way you can impress your boss, your organization, is to solve a problem they already have and they can't solve.
Absolutely. So basically, based on the email, she has done everything under the P, performance.
She is bringing it, man. She's coming into work every day. She's knocking it down. She's doing what they ask of her, and they have a positive view of her.
Right.
But it's not enough to get her promoted.
So here's what I would say: pen and paper time, right?
Absolutely.
So to answer your question in a somewhat concise manner, as quick as we can.
Okay.
So let's follow the acronym PIES, right?
Right.
So yes, you are performing. You're doing everything that's asked of you. But now I'm going to ask you to do something that most people don't think of.
Yes.
Go above and beyond that.
Absolutely.
Like you said, solve a problem.
Absolutely. You know, I heard somebody do this, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
They asked the boss, "Man, what keeps you up at night worrying?" Okay. Now, any boss will go for this, except the mean ones, and you need to, do something with them.
Right.
But most bosses, if somebody walks up to you, they report to you, and they say, "Look, man, what keeps you up at night worrying?" Right. And you give them the things that bother you. Mm-hmm. You have just told me what will make me your favorite employee. I don't care what color you are, what gender you are, what you look like. If I solve your problem,
I like that. So now I'm gonna say the I.
Yeah.
An image is not just about how we dress.
Oh, no.
I'm quite sure you're coming to work very professional.
Oh, absolutely.
So now with the image, what else do we need to be concerned about?
My image needs to match what they need. Now, here's an image thing. Think about it. Guy walks in, shakes your hand, looks you straight in the eye. Mm-hmm. Hello, Mr. Bryan. Mm-hmm. I'd like to help out on this, whatever. You look at him. He looks capable. He projects confidence. Mm-hmm. That's the image that you want.
Right.
So if I'm going to my boss, I'll take the first one and say, boss, what are some of the things that keep you up at night, man? What do you worry about? Mm-hmm. I want to sound confident. I want to sound like I belong in that situation. Mm-hmm. And I want to set my image up long before I have that conversation that says, I'm good for this arena.
Right.
So it's kind of a setup thing. An image is more than dress, although dress is there.
It's there.
Dress, you've got to project at a level higher than you already are.
Right. And then the E is real simple. You got to build relationships,
dude.
And I'm quite sure you are by showing up to work every day, speaking to your boss, probably being nice and that type of thing. But sometimes it's about building relationships with that person, but also with your peers around you, and also the peer and also your colleagues that are above your manager level.
Absolutely.
As well. Those are the decision makers.
Yeah. The more people that you help.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
The more your exposure is positive.
Absolutely. And sometimes that exposure is performing above and beyond your job description to get their attention.
Always.
Right.
If you just do enough that's in your job description and go home, don't worry about a promotion.
All right. And lastly, to answer our listeners' question, spirituality.
Spirituality. I need divine guidance. I need wisdom for my next move.
Yep.
And if I want to get promoted, sometimes, I think we talked about in one of the earlier episodes, it may be in the organization or it might be in another organization. Mm-hmm. And only my higher power knows whether this organization is going to be the best for me.
Right.
So I need to be at a spot where I'm communing, connected, and listening for that guiding voice.
It's about connecting to something greater than yourself.
That's it, dude.
All right. Let's get into our main topic, motivation.
Why are you doing what you're doing?
All right. So I think there are a couple ways that we can kind of attack this particular topic. And because when you say motivation, right, I think you think, or at least I think about it a few different ways. So one of the first ways that I think about it is it's more about drive, initiative.
Yeah.
What is internally motivating me? Right.
Yeah.
Versus having to have people push me all the time, or always having to have somebody be on me all the time. Right. So, in your view, in your words, what do you think it means to be like self-motivated?
Self-motivated to me, and when I function best as a self-motivated person, I have a goal, a purpose, and a direction. Mm-hmm. See. If you don't, was it the Wizard of Oz that said, which road should I take? Or was it the other one? But it was one of the fairy tales where the person was asking, which road should I take? And the answer came back, well, where do you want to go?
Oh.
And the thought was, if you didn't know where you wanted to go, it doesn't matter which road you take. Because if you're not focused at going somewhere, it's kind of hard to be motivated. There's no reason to be motivated. There's some people that get up. Moms Mabley, I'm old, so I'm going back.
I know Moms Mabley.
Moms Mabley said she talked about her husband so bad.
Yeah.
She said this man was spineless. He just got up and went to work the way the wind was blowing.
Right.
Okay, which means he just functioned Well, you know what? We laugh at that. There are people listening to this. Hopefully, it'll be different after you hear us. But you're just getting up, going through the motions every day, going to work.
Right.
I'm saying in order to get out of that, I need to have a goal. What's my focus? Do I want to make more money? Do I want to get promoted? Do I want a better position? Do I want my family to be better? What do I want? And once I have that, now I got something to shoot for. Oh, it's on.
So then, so basically, I just had a thought, basically. So basically what you're telling me is if I have no aspirations, that it's difficult for me to be self-motivated.
It's done.
So then what do you say about people who, at least in front of other people, say, oh, I want to be this, or I want to do this, but their actions might say that it takes a little bit more for them to be motivated, meaning they need somebody, come on, let's go. Come on, I thought you said you wanted to do this.
Yeah.
So then do they have goals and aspirations, but they're lacking something else? Like how does that work?
To the degree. Now think about this, dude. We're sitting in a building, and the building catches on fire. And somebody comes to the door and says, we have a way of escape.
Yep.
But you're going to have to walk down 23 flights of stairs. Is that really a problem?
Yeah,
the building is on fire.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to go down those 23 flights of stairs. Now, we're going to be huffing and puffing. We'll be tired.
Yeah.
But the motivation, we're back at Maslow's now. We're at the bottom rung. We're at security. We're at safety. We're at that piece. We're going to do what it takes to get out of that bad situation.
Exactly.
Now, if somebody really wants something, they're going to do what it takes to get there. Now, I can tell you, because come on, we know people. We've had conversations. We know people. Man, I want to get promoted. And we'll sit down and have a talk with them, and they're not motivated at all. They want more money. But to actually get up and do what it takes to get it?
Right.
No, man. They're not motivated.
Yeah, and that's something we're going to get into later. Man, so then let's talk a little bit about external motivation in the context of self-motivation. Right?
Okay.
So the self-help books,
Yep.
all of our powerful and present figures that are motivators. Tony Robbins.
Oh, yeah.
Gary Vee is one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Les Brown.
Absolutely.
Lisa Nichols.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like all of these people, right? So what I've noticed personally in the last few years, and I might get some heat for this one.
Okay.
But I've noticed like people really jumping on their bandwagons and using them in a way to just constantly feed the voice into their head.
Yeah.
But not really taking the actions.
Yeah. Well, they are hooked on the feel-good part of it. Okay. You know, Eric is one of our boys.
Yeah.
And
E.T.
E.T. rocks it. I'll listen to him. I'll be fired up, man.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll put him on at the gym and I'll strain my back trying to pick something up in there. You know, come out in a walker and limping, dragging a leg or something.
He's definitely good for a workout.
Oh, that's my boy. That's my boy.
Workout voice.
But here's the thing. I don't need E.T. every day.
No, me neither.
Some of those concepts, they're there. I mean, I love him because he is a shot in the arm, but some of those concepts are just there. So you kind of say, how much of this do I need? It's like, how much chill time do you need? Rest. All of that's good. I'm old school. I've had Zig Ziglar in my life for a long time.
Right.
And he wrote See at the Top. Man, I used to play that, and I did play it daily. Going through a rough time,
Of course.
I played it daily, got through it. I could actually quote his stuff, but it's that battery. Well, it's inside of me now.
Yeah.
I can give you his stuff. It's inside.
So Gary Vee said something, or he said it frequently. Like the last few things I've listened to, I don't listen to him every day anymore.
Right.
But he said something. He was like, "Yo, if you're watching me or listening to me, then you're not doing anything." And I was just like, "Whoa!" It's like got a point here. Like, wait a minute. It's like, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? Basically, he was like, if you're listening to me every day, then you're not doing what I'm telling you to do. Basically, he's like, stop it, right? So then that leads me to this. Is it a lack of motivation, or could it also be a fear of success?
It could be a fear of success or failure. Because
true.
Once you get finished firing me up, I got to get up and go do something.
Right.
And I'm scared. Now that's where I need the S again in my spirituality. I need my higher power that says, hey, failure is not final.
Right.
And neither is success.
Right.
Failure doesn't mean you lost. It just means you figure one more way that didn't work. So get up, go after it, try it. And nobody that we know that's done well had an instant success. Everybody had failures. And I need that faith component in order to get through that.
This is every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, even when I deal with my kids, man, like my daughter was trying to learn something new. Like she wanted to learn how to play basketball.
Okay.
So I've only been out with her one day so far. But she took her first couple of shots, and of course they didn't go the direction she wanted them to go.
It wasn't instant.
Right. Right. But I could see in her face that she was already disappointed. And I had done the daddy thing before we even went out there. I was like, hey, I might be a little tough. It was like, but then I pulled back and I was like, you know what? Let me teach you about failure in this sense. Like, the first time that you try something, it's not going to always be perfect. But this is where the work comes, right?
Yeah.
And so she was shooting, and she was just like, oh, I just can't get it. It's like, let's keep trying. You know, let's keep trying. And what I'm watching for is to see like how quickly, you know, she bounces back from the failure.
Absolutely.
Because to me, that plays into self-motivation too. It's like, okay, yeah, I failed at this thing, but now I got to figure out how to get around that and overcome that failure, right?
Yep. Somebody that's trying to get promoted, I stay on that one because most people are trying to grow their careers. And I won't say promoted necessarily from when I talk to people every day who want to grow and develop and be at the top of their potential. Tons of people. And there are some awesome folks out here. You guys are rocking the world. But it always comes from a spot. The truly successful that continue to grow, they have something inside that they're shooting for every time their feet hit the floor. Absolutely. Every time they wake up.
So then here's a question. Can you be taught self-motivation?
You can be taught the steps, but self-motivation taps into an emotional part of you. Because the steps say, I will get up and do this, this, and this. And yes, you can. We're going to give them ideas. Here's what you do first thing in the morning. We talk about getting connected to your higher power. The second thing, make your list of things that you're going to accomplish that day that fit into your bigger plan.
Right.
We can teach you the steps and how to do that.
Right.
But the thing that makes you really successful is when you want to do that. And that comes from an emotional decision. You got to want to do it.
Yeah, I think that covers it, man. Because I mean, and it's a big thing to me because I look around and I see people and I'm always looking like, but why do you want to stay in this place? Why do you want to settle here? And I mean, and let's be real and I'll be transparent. Like, I've gone through stretches of being in a comfort zone. Okay. I've gone through stretches of fear of failure. You know, as recently as 3 or 4 months ago. How long did it take us to launch the podcast? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But it was that thing that was just like, you know what? I want change. So because I want change, I have to take a step and do something.
And that's at an emotional level.
Absolutely.
Because you are cool and laid back. When you start talking about where you want to go, dude,
it comes out.
Your meter perks up. I'm like, this is serious.
It's a passion.
Yeah.
You know, it's a passion.
That's the word.
Passion.
That's the word.
Right.
That's it.
That is true. Passion.
That's it.
Self-motivation is passion.
Yep. Now, the other question is, can your career grow without it?
Personally, I don't think so.
You can get promoted once or twice based on skill and what you have.
Right.
But you will not be the top dog without some. I'm gonna go back to passion. I love that, dude. You won't be top dog without that.
No, we like sports, and so we always like to compare things to sports. Yes. I would compare that to being gifted in many ways athletically. And just achieving off of just your raw athleticism, but not putting in the time, the hard work and the effort to hone the athleticism and hone the actual skills at whatever endeavor you're trying to do. Because to me, that's where the passion comes in.
Okay, I'm just going to digress on that one. Dwight Howard, on a game where he is passionate,
oh God,
you cannot do a thing with him. And then on some games, I'm like, he is the largest human with the largest wingspan on the floor, and he's not dominating.
And
Why?
I would say he has definitely probably struggled with the back and forth of not necessarily a lack of passion, but just that fear of failure and success, and just allowing the different voices to come in, right?
Yeah.
So the other part of motivation really is talking about what is actually driving you.
Got it.
Okay. We know passion is the thing that's going to get us started without somebody having to nudge us all the time, right? We pretty much just walked into that when we discovered that one through the conversation.
Got it.
So now it's what is actually motivating you? What's your why, basically, right? What's your why? You and I talk about this all the time when it comes to career. Is it a paycheck that's motivating you? Is it just a job title that's motivating you? Is it just that I just want to get to the top of the ladder just because? Is that what's motivating you? Or is it other things like I wanna obtain knowledge. I want to be a well developed person in this area of expertise. You know, I want to have these skills because these skills will make me valuable even after I've left this post.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? What is motivating you?
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to allow, and this goes to like another part of internal versus external motivation, right? Because it's easy to let external things like my wife or this paycheck or I want to get this house or I want to have this job title push us. But what's the other stuff?
And I think the internal thing, now, you know, a couple of Bible verses just hit me, and I'm thinking about a couple of times when I actually did a couple of things that was decent. I used to compete millions of years ago as a competitive bodybuilder before I discovered burgers and extra butter on rolls and whatever. But anyway, I remember having a picture of a guy named Lee Haney, and one of the friends of mine, his name was Ron Love. Extraordinary bodybuilder. If you guys Google any of these names, and I would have these, well, Ron I would see in the gym, but I'd have Lee Haney's picture around, and I would look at these guys, and every day that I woke up, I would say, I want to be like that. Now, that was a passion. Crawl up under some weight. There's no way in the world I could lift it. People needed to spot me and help me so I wouldn't kill myself. But there was an obsession with a goal. There was an obsession with a focus about where I wanted to go. That was purely internal. I mean, I could see myself on stage hoisting the first place trophy. I could visualize that every time I got up under some weight, every time I did an exercise. When I watch these young guys now play ball and you look at them and they're getting their moves down, they see themselves winning whatever championship that they're in, and they can taste it. It's very real.
It's the cliche story that only became cliche because it's true. Like all these kids, you know, you sit around in your driveway and you visualize yourself hitting that game-winning shot on the biggest stage, right?
It's real.
And if that is what's driving you, that's for you. I want to read something to you real quick.
Got it.
From this article from the Huffington Post, HuffPost, written by Tyler Tavorin. But in this article, he was talking about internal versus external motivation in the context of how to build an exercise routine you can stick to. But it's all in the same context. It all means the same. But a couple of paragraphs down, he was like, talk to someone who works with drug rehab patients and you'll hear the same wisdom shared over and over. Success depends on your motivations, right? And it's like, and what are those right reasons, or what are those motivations? Everyone who overcomes a drug addiction is motivated, but the ones who succeed long term are the ones who are motivated for the right reasons. And the research shows that rehab success lasts when the patient is motivated to make himself or herself better for himself or herself. Right? Some people go to rehab because they're afraid to lose their job, their house, their family. And these patients might get clean, but it rarely lasts. Others go to rehab because they fear they'll lose themselves. And these are the people who turn their lives around for good. So that caught me when I was kind of researching some stuff. And it's true. When I go to work every day, right? Yeah, I get up because I got a family. I need to keep a roof over my head.
Bread, milk,
in the fridge.
I feel you.
You know, that's the basics. But the reasons that I have achieved in my career have nothing to do with my family. It has nothing to do with my kids. It has nothing to do with my wife at all. It's because I have a level of passion for this thing that I'm doing. I have a level of interest, and I'm excited to do it. And because I want to be great in that thing, that pushes me every day.
That's what we all have to have. So if I'm looking at whether or not I have valid internal motivation, okay, can we get out of the way that internal is a more lasting motivation?
Absolutely.
Okay. External is I work for this quick thing, I work for that thing. Internal more is how internal motivation is more of how do you see yourself as a person, not the things and the trappings, but how do you see yourself as a person achieving whatever your goal or objective is?
Okay.
What kind of person are you? Like you said, you're motivated professionally. Yeah, you have a family, you got a house, you got kids, you got all that stuff. However, that has nothing to do with why you're doing what you're doing.
Nah.
Now, the byproduct is you're able to take care of them.
Yep.
But you are doing it from the inside because there's something else that you want to achieve. And the funny thing about us, because we're goal-driven people, when we get that thing, there'll be one more thing we need to achieve.
Oh, absolutely.
We were created, and I have Pop say this all the time, we were created with so many brain cells that will never be used, that we were designed for our brains to function throughout eternity, learning and growing.
Isn't that amazing, though?
Now, that's what's in you right now, today.
That's crazy.
You know, when they find out we only use what? So many
third
percent
or something
of our
crazy.
brain. Yeah. So the potential for incredible success is inside of everybody. They just have to choose internal motivation. They have to choose to say, I want to be. Not I want to have, but I want to be, and make a list of what that is.
Gotcha. All right, so 2 things before we wrap this up.
Got it.
I have a question that I've always wanted to ask, because I have this conversation from time to time with people at work, and especially some of my young ones that come in, right? What should, and it's kind of subjective, but in your opinion, what should the motivation be? Should my motivation be jumping up the ladder and making paychecks? Or should I be more focused on acquiring skill and knowledge? I have my answer, and I'll give it to you after you finish.
Okay. You know I'm going back to sports.
Go.
We're 2 brothers in the room.
Yeah.
Sports. Okay. And we won't even call up any of our other friends to have the discussion. But I'll just talk about MJ, and I'm going to talk about LeBron, and I'm going to talk about Steph Curry, and I'm going to talk about KD. Let me put them all in a bag.
Okay.
Those young men are so incredibly awesome.
Yeah.
The paycheck will always be there. Each one of them perfected their craft. I got to throw some spirituality in here on this one. I can't. The faith thing is just killing me right now. God designed you to be an incredible copy of him. If you ever approach even opening up the reservoir that he wants to pour into, you will become more like him. The copy will be close. Now, we're still human. We're not going to ever be God. But the more we reach for that, we accomplish more, we do more, our motivation is cleaner, and we have bigger rewards because we're reaching for where he wants us to be. I look at those guys playing ball, and we can argue about which one is better, man. That's a moot point. We're going to do that because we're bored on a Saturday night. But, dude, any one of those guys could get left off of their teams right now, and there'd be 100 teams trying to pick them up. Mercy. Not because of a paycheck, but because they all focus on being the best that they could be. That's what's expected from the man upstairs, and that's the gift he's given all of us.
Hey, man, you said that better than I can even say it. The only thing I would even remotely add is I've always kind of looked at it from that exact point of view. I would rather acquire knowledge and skill or focus on knowledge and skill acquisition versus dollars, because ultimately, the more valuable thing in the long run will be that knowledge and skill.
And by the way, You got knowledge and skill, you will get paid.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. I can get paid in perpetuity because I have knowledge and skill.
Yes.
All right, last thing. What's the best way for everyone to kind of evaluate their internal motivations? You may have already touched on it.
Yeah, I think what you have to do, you have to sit down and say, first of all, where am I going? Now, in order to do this, you're going to have to create a picture in your mind about where you want to end up. What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of, in your field, whatever it is, what kind of employee do you want to be? What kind of force do you want to be when you walk into any organization?
Right.
You have to focus on that. Back to your point about skill and knowledge, how much do you want to know? How good do you want to be? That has to be your first picture. I've had some guys say, look, man, build a picture of yourself 5 years in the future. What is it? And that's what you're aiming for. And by the way, 5 years in the future, you're going to do it every year. It's going to be a different picture than you have now.
Oh, man.
And if you're always shooting for that, now build the most awesome you in 5 years.
Right.
Build it. Just rock it. If you even approach that in 5 years and you continue to move that out further, man, your star shoots up so fast. So create a picture of where you want to be and then jot in the steps to get the knowledge, skills, and abilities it's going to take you to be there in that length of time.
Wonderful. As always, good way to wrap that up. This has been episode 17 of the Beyond the Cubicle podcast, where we talked about motivation, and more motivation.
Have mercy.
And what we focused on today was really talking about internal versus external motivation in a couple of different contexts. In the context of being self-motivated, and also in the context of what is actually motivating you to achieve. Are they external things, or is it more about passion? And what we learned today was passion equals self-motivation.
Something from the inside, man. You got to have it on the inside.
And focusing on yourself and letting yourself, the goals of yourself, building yourself up, equals success when it comes to internal motivations. That should be that.
That's it.
All right. As always, we thank you guys for listening. Spread the word about the podcast. Catch us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at This Is BTC. Interact with us. So shoot us an email at podbtc@gmail.com.
Yes,
and as always, we'll see you in the next episode.
All right.